You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Bold and the Beautiful fans, we're going to talk about Liam's tragic death sentence and how it could change everything on the CBS soap. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we're going to dive into how this bombshell affects his loved ones, including Bill, Steffy, Hope, and many others. And the only one on that list that knows, of course, is Steffy, but the bombshell is going to blow up soon, ripple effects everywhere. Of course, we're watching Liam, coping with the news that nobody ever wants to hear, that he's dying. And, he went from denial into basically rejection of the death sentence. He told Steffy he refused to die, but she can't change that the doctors have said it's a terminal diagnosis, and neither can Liam. And despite him asking Steffy and Finn and Bridget to keep it secret, we all know the awful truth about Liam's horrible diagnosis is going to come out soon. It's going to rock his loved ones. And we're going to talk about a few ways that this could change everything on Bold forever, literally forever, and who will be affected the most. So first off, we could see Liam's death sentence cause a treaty between Hope and Steffy, something meaningful, something that lasts. Although Hope doesn't know about Liam's condition yet, she will find out soon. And then a miracle, not the kind Liam's hoping for, but another kind of miracle. Steffy and Hope could bury the hatchet. Even after all the outrage aimed at each other recently, we could see it shift. Steffy and Hope's anger at each other should cool down because of this thing they have in common. They're both about to lose the father of their kids, their daughters. So they can become co-supporters for the dying Liam. And of course, that includes Finn being on board for everything. And Steffy wants to do this for her ex, and Finn's all in on it. They're, I think, going to move him in with them this week. We'll find out. So Hope and Steffy may soon become constant companions for Liam while he's on his deathbed. And whether or not he actually dies in the end, this event and just the life-altering sorrow and the harsh reality of their daughters facing a future without their dad, that could totally change Hope and Steffy's outlook about each other forever. And I can see how it would take something life-alteringly horrific to make Hope and Steffy finally stop looking at each other with hate and just see that there are more important things in life than hanging on to grudges and resentment. Even if Liam doesn't survive, he could leave this amazing legacy of healing the rift between his two ex-wives. All right, second thing is we're likely going to see a huge shift in Bill Spencer's attitude. And of course, most Bold and the Beautiful viewers are hoping and expecting that Finn is going to find a way to pull another miracle out of his doctor bag like he did for Eric Forrester. Maybe some study pops up that shows promise, or an experimental treatment that could save Liam. Absolutely, Finn might be able to make that happen. But another person that finds out what's happening and then gets deeply invested in finding a cure for Liam is likely going to be his father, Dollar Bill. And obviously, Liam went down hard from that dizzy spell after the awful fight with his father. That was probably one of the worst arguments they've had. Not the worst, because I do remember the one at Spencer Publications where Bill punched Liam in the face. So we can't ever forget that one. So once Bill finds out that Liam doesn't have long to live, he'll probably start feeling a little guilty. Realistically, Dollar Bill should feel a lot guilty because he was horrible to his son. And, he did all this stuff for Luna, knowing that she was a killer and everything, and then, lashed out at his own flesh and blood. But much like Liam saying he refuses to let it happen, we may also see Bill saying the same kind of thing. He may say that he refuses to let his son die. So we could see Liam getting a dedicated resource or many resources, if Bill opened up his very deep pockets and started searching for a cure for Liam, no expense spared, exploring the globe for, alternate therapies and things that they're trying in other countries, that kind of thing. Maybe a cutting edge doctor from the other side of the world that Bill whisks to Liam's bedside in his private jet, stuff like that. With Liam dying, Bill could move heaven and earth to find a doctor to do the impossible to get that tumor out of Liam's head. And if Bill's the one that finds a way to save Liam, of course, that would go a long way to healing the fractured Spencer family. And Bull definitely better bring back Darren Brooks as Wyatt Spencer for this tragic tale. You know what I mean? All right. The last thing I want to talk about, a truly awful outcome that would forever change the entire character canvas on Bold and the Beautiful, is if Liam Spencer actually does die. And given that Eric's he's really going to die storyline lasted a couple of months, I absolutely expect Liam's grim fate to play out for about that long. Brad Bell's not going to resolve this and let Liam die off fast. He's going to milk it for all it's worth, ratings-wise, drama-wise, all that. Plus, B&B is very repetitious, so they're gonna beat this horse, for quite a while. In the end, despite Bill's best efforts, despite Finn's dedication and research, and Steffy and Hope's concern and care, we have to entertain the possibility that this long, drawn-out death watch does result in Liam actually dying, and he does not get that 11th hour miracle cure like Eric did. That being said, B&B loves to just redo plots over and over and over, and we could be looking at Liam as Eric 2.0. That's where I feel like it's going, but we have to entertain the idea that he could die. I mean, Scott Clifton's a great actor, so killing off Liam would be a huge loss for B&B, especially given how well Scott Clifton is handling all this really heavy storyline drama. But let's face it, Liam's been in a rut for a while, waffling between Hope and Steffy. Fans were tired of that. And then Brad Bell pushed Liam totally onto the back burner for quite a while. So, we can't say for certain, Scott Clifton is staying at Bold and the Beautiful. Definitely. If you've heard he signed a new contract, that's a lie. He has not. That is a very old story from several years ago that is being repurposed and passed around to get people to click on it. It is literal clickbait. Don't believe it. It hasn't happened. Anyway. Obviously, here's hoping that Liam beats this tumor crisis, but if they do kill him off, the ripple effects will be more like a tsunami. Hope and Steffy would be devastated. Finn would too, because he and Liam are on the path to becoming best friends during this crisis, according to a recent interview Scott Clifton did. And of course, Liam's daughters would be crushed. His dad, Bill, would be devastated. If they do bring back Wyatt, which they should, he would be horrified that his brother's dying and possibly dead. Same for little brother Will Spencer. Lives will be forever shaken if Liam Spencer really does die. And he might. I mean, I doubt it, and I hope not, but never say never.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.